Hi guys, and welcome back to this journey towards excellent exam results. In these shorter revision videos, we are going to be breaking down different concepts within the GCSE Geography specification. The aim of this is to help us understand the concepts better and to give us the information and confidence we need to answer exam questions. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the processes and landforms in the upper course of a river. Okay, let's get started. So we are now going to move on to rivers, and rivers obviously as well have a big role to play in shaping the landscape of the UK. Now, on its journey from source to mouth, a river will flow through three main courses. So you have the first one here, which is the upper course of the river. And as you can see here, this is referring to the highland areas that are near the source, so where this river begins. And then it will flow on to the middle course, which is less steep, and then eventually to the lower course, where the relief is a lot lower and almost flat, really, as you near the mouth of the river. So while this river is moving, it will do three main jobs. It's going to erode material, it's going to transport that material, and then it's also going to deposit that material. And those processes that are taking place there, that erosion, transportation, and deposition, is going to lead to the creation of various landforms. And again, here the types of erosion are similar to the ones that we talked about when we are studying coasts, and those are hydraulic action, abrasion, attrition, and solution. So we have types of transportation. So the river has eroded material. Now that material is then going to be moved. And the first way in which material is moved is traction. And traction refers to larger rocks, the way larger rocks are moved along the riverbed. Now, because they are heavy, they are going to be on the riverbed, and as the river flows along, the river water is likely to roll those boulders or large rocks along. So the flow of the water is, causing them to roll along the riverbed here. Then we have saltation, which is the second type of transportation, and that is where smaller pebbles, so these ones down here, will bounce off the riverbed and keep moving along that particular course of that river. And we call that a leapfrog motion because you can see it's almost jumping up here and then hitting the bottom again, and then that force is causing it to rise again and then drops, and then it keeps bouncing along. So that process is called saltation. Then we also have material that is being carried in suspension. So as you can see here, these here are a smaller sediment in comparison to the boulders and the pebbles, and these are the finer material that can be carried along in the flow of the water. It's light enough to be carried in a suspended state in the water, and this actually is the material that normally causes the water to look very discolored during times of very heavy rainfall, because during such times the river has a lot more energy and is likely to be carrying a lot more material that it has eroded. So that will be carried in suspension. And then lastly, we have solution, and this is where again weak acids in the rainwater are going to cause some of the material or the rocks to be dissolved and carried along in a solution or a dissolved state. Okay, so what landforms occur in the upper course of a river? The first one that we are going to be talking about is waterfalls. So the formation of a waterfall here is what we are looking at. And in the upper course of a river, you will have areas that have two different bands of rock. One band that is hard rock above, as you can see here. This here represents a hard rock. And then you have softer rock below here. Now, as this water is flowing through this section here, it's going to drop down here. And because this area here has got softer rock, that rock is likely to be eroded a lot faster than the rock that is above it here. Now, as you can see over time, that erosion of this rock here is going to cause a big plunge pool or a huge plunge pool here, it's called to be formed, right? And then this top rock here, which is a hard rock, is going to be undercut. So there will be no longer any material that is holding it up here or helping support it up. That material will have been washed off, and eventually, because of that undercutting, the force of gravity is going to cause it to fall through or to fall down. And then it's going to come down here into the plunge pool. It's likely to cause abrasion to take place as it scrapes, on the bottom here. And then as the attrition is taking place as well, the particles, the rocks are hitting against each other, the ones that broke from here, becoming smaller and so on. And this process will continue to repeat itself. And as that process repeats itself, this waterfall is going to keep receding. It's going to retreat or to recede or to move back. And as that happens, you can see this here, this dashed line here represents the former location of that particular waterfall, which has now receded all the way over here. And this area here, where it receded from, or where it used to be before rather, is referred to as a gorge. Okay, so waterfalls rather are a landform that is created in the upper course of a river. Then we also have V-shaped valleys. So the river water at this stage here does not have as much energy, but the energy that it has will be used for vertical erosion. So it's going to be eroding downwards, and because of that downwards erosion, you're going to end up with a V-shaped valley, okay, as you can see up here. But then because the river doesn't have as much energy, it's going to be trying to find the path of least resistance to move along. And as that happens, it's likely to bend and curve as it does that. And because it's doing that, as it moves across a landscape, we don't then see a V-shaped valley that is straight. Okay, we can see that it's interlocking. We have interlocking spurs here, right? As the river is bending, you have interlocking spurs here. That is what we are referring to as interlocking spurs as it bends around the landscape and tries to find the path of least resistance. So three landforms that are formed in the upper course: waterfall, V-shaped valleys, and interlocking spurs. So in the upper course of a river, we will have weathering and mass movement taking place. Now, the three types of weathering here will include all of them, really. So we have freeze-thaw weathering, which obviously is where the water enters the rocks, the cracks that are in the rock during the day, then freezes at night. And when that happens, the rock then eventually will break up into smaller pieces, and that unconsolidated material, or those fragments rather, are referred to as scree. And then we have biological weathering taking place as well. You have the vegetation that is here as the roots go into the cracks that are in the rock. And as that particular plant grows bigger, the roots grow bigger as well, and they cause that particular crack to become bigger, and eventually the rock breaks up. Then we have chemical weathering, which is where the acid that is in the rainwater will dissolve some of the rock. So the three types of weathering will be taking place in the upper course of a river, and that is especially because these areas here tend to have lower temperatures due to the altitude, so the height or the relief of the land causing the temperatures here to vary sometimes, to freezing, or to change, to vary to freezing during the night. Then we also have mass movement taking place here. So some of the unconsolidated material is likely to be moved down the slopes, and that can happen in the form of landslides and mud flows. And this will happen where rock fragments are moving very fast, down slope. However, these here are not necessarily that common in the UK as in the landslides and mud flows, but what is a little more common is soil creep. And this here will happen during times of heavy rain, and that heavy rain will dislodge the soil particles and cause those soils to flow down the slopes in the upper Kosovo River. That brings us to the end of this video on the processes and landforms in the upper Kosovo River. I hope that you have found the information insightful and useful. I have also put together videos on all the other subtopics within the UK Evolving Physical Landscapes unit. 2 of them will pop up as suggested videos at the end of this one, and the rest will be in the UK Evolving Physical Landscapes playlist. Thanks once again for joining in this journey towards excellent exam results. All the best and see you again soon. Bye-bye.